Before I do any of these others, I got a meeting, so it's going to be a couple minutes before I get any more done. The big news this morning is all about dexamethasone, and so I thought we probably ought to talk about that. So this is your Dr. Ben update for the morning. Yeah. All right, dexamethasone. So why are we talking about this? There still is an ongoing study in the UK. They're not enrolling any more people, but they're looking at already approved treatments to try and see if there are any of these that can actually work and are effective against COVID. And what they found is that dexamethasone, which is a kind of an unusual steroid in the way that it works, this thing, according to what they're saying, appears to be effective. Now, what we've got here is another case of science by press conference. And so there's a scientific study that's been done, probably, hopefully, in the right sort of way. The study has not been released. They haven't actually shown any data, but they're going out and saying that there's data. And so this might serve a purpose, like you might be able to say that, well, okay, this is going to make the treatment available to more people sooner, could save a couple lives. Yeah, possible. At the same time, there have been cases where science by press conference has been extremely premature and wrong in the past. And you'd like to see that they've at least written this up, because when they've written it up, that means they've actually run it past their statisticians. They've checked and double checked to make sure that everything is right. Because like with some of the early small hydroxychloroquine studies, we got really hyped up and excited over stuff that turned out to be coincidence or a very minor effect when we were hoping for a very large effect. Yeah, But the word is that this steroid, so the way it would work is that normally you would take steroids to knock down certain components of the immune system. So there are these things called eosinophils. And they are just one of the many parts of your immune system. These are particularly involved in allergy, and when they really get going, they are very strongly involved in just sort of destruction of the inside of you. And so they have a purpose, they have a use, but when they get sort of a little bit too cranked up, then it leads to bad things. And so a lot of those things you would squirt up your nose for allergy relief. Some of the asthma medications will be steroids, and they will be aimed at, in part, getting rid of these cells. So they increase apoptosis for the eosinophils, which is basically telling them to please go die, yeah, but politely, of course, yeah. The interesting thing about dexamethasone is that it does this to eosinophils, but it prolongs the life of neutrophils, which is a different component of your immune response. And so, yeah, it's saying, get out of here, eosinophils, and you got this, neutrophils, apparently. This is what we know from older studies, and there are going to be new studies done about this, I guarantee it, because this is going to be big news if it turns out to actually work. The study is supposedly large, has thousands of people, as opposed to the tens of people that usually give us false hope and these sorts of things, and may have been conducted well, but again, we don't know until we see the stuff. So, yeah, the idea is that this is a treatment that'll go into people with moderate to severe COVID and will actually basically turn down the immune response, turn down the cytokine storm, and allow the rest of the immune system to still knock out the virus. So this is not something that's going to directly affect the virus or decrease the amount of virus. It's something that's aimed at the disease. And so those are the two ways to look at this thing. And I think the ultimate solution is probably a combination of these two. So we want to treat the symptoms. That's the immediate most important thing, because it's the symptoms that are going to kill you with COVID. It's this cytokine storm, this immune response in your lungs, in your blood, damaging your heart, all kinds of bad places, all kinds of bad things. And so this takes care of that. And then ideally, we would like to be able to combine this with something, the two little parallel tracks that would knock down the virus a little bit. And so you'd have less virus and less disease at the same time, and that would be ideal. So it may be half of that solution, and half of that solution could still save lives. So this could be big, but once again, we can't really assess it scientifically. until some of the data's out. So here's hoping that they release the data soon. From the comments that I read, it sounded like they hadn't even written up the paper yet, let alone submitted it. It's just somebody saw the data and got so excited they couldn't sit still anymore, and just had to tell somebody. And so yeah, you know, the scientists are people too. And so hopefully that's all it is. And yeah, I look forward to actually seeing the paper and getting into the details on it, because that's where all the interesting stuff is in a scientific paper, is buried down in those details. So there you go. There's your dexamethosone Dr. Ben update. It looks promising. A lot of things have. This one might still be promising in a week or two. We'll find out. Thanks very much.